let's just say when you first get the budget, and that first moment when you're handed the budget by the board and it's a significant hire, what's going on inside your head when you start the whole search process? What's going on inside Dean Curtis's head?
Business is a lot more fast paced than it used to be, right? And if you think about digital transformation in particular, a lot of businesses are continually evolving, and I think COVID has also accelerated that. So one of the first things is clearly to have a view of the talent and capabilities that you have in your organization currently, and then begin to think about the gaps between that and where you're going as an organization in your strategy. Most businesses are doing new things or different things than they were 3 or 4 years ago. And with that comes a range of experiences and skills, technical skills that you may or may not have, even in consistent roles, sales director, marketing director. Those disciplines have changed a bit, right? And then in addition, clearly for me, culture is the most important thing in the businesses that I lead. It's the one differentiating thing, and culture and people are why businesses succeed ultimately, is my own opinion. So I'm also very, very big on behaviours. In the organisations I lead, we hire people based on personal behaviours and the things that they show in terms of what makes a great person that works for the brands that I lead, really. So there's a few things there, right? It's the capability transition, because there's, every time you hire, you've got an opportunity to raise the bar and bring in new experiences and skills that are important for where the business is going. But then you also want some consistent behaviours of, is this person going to fit in? And that's not necessarily a bias around anything to do with diversity, quite the reverse. What we're looking to do as business is innovating more is to get more different backgrounds and perspectives into our organisation, but the ultimate values and behaviours of that person need to be reasonably consistent with what we do. I won't go into them but in detail, because anyone interviewing would get an advantage. But I guess, things like, we value passion. People really want to be there. How much do they want to be part of the job? It's not just a job. And there are other key things that we're big on, like curiosity. Curiosity is a trait of every high. So we have interview questions to say, let's measure this person's curiosity, whether they're collecting content as an editor. Curiosity is important, and sales curiosity is one of the most important traits that a salesperson can have, as an example. Mm-hmm. So there's a few things there in terms of how we piece that together, and it can be different for each role.
That's a really interesting answer. And if you don't mind me saying so, that's something that I haven't heard in a long time, to be honest with you. I mean, I remember probably about 10, 15 years ago, there used to be more of that around. And that, I don't know, would you agree that's something that's been lost of late? I mean, it's something I don't hear too much when I hear about the criteria so much.
Yeah, it may be to do with the culture piece, right? I think clearly COVID has made some very challenging times for a lot of business models, and it's created opportunity for others. But the one thing I believe that it's done is really differentiated good and bad cultures in organizations. And the fact that you can't be that old school autocratic, I want to see my people and this is what we're going to do, top down hierarchy, a level of empowerment where it is ultimately behavior driven and you can really allow people to be themselves. And that's, I when I interview, I prefer to do it as a discussion, because as soon as you have a really set group of questions, it becomes a very antiseptic environment, and then you don't actually see the true person. And that's often a bad thing for both. If you're going to bring someone on board and they're not going to work out, you invest in their onboarding, they invest their time. And so for me, that has to be a win-win. And ultimately, it's about the person. It needs to work for them and it needs to work for the company. And that comes down to being who you really are, right? It's you want to get the best out of all of the talent you've got, and as a leader, allow them to achieve their absolute potential. But at the same time, you don't hire people to change them. So the more antiseptic that process is at the front end, the less chance it's got of being successful for both at the back end, which is ultimately where we all win.
Some really good insights to take away. Appreciate that.